Hi, good evening. So, would you please introduce yourself?
Okay, with pleasure. Thank you for interviewing me. My name is Hamza, Ameer Hamza, and I am part of the team that looks after Kaizen paint in the Middle East and North Africa region. I've been working with Kaizen for about 10 years now, and before that, spent about 3 years in the paint industry.
Great. Why don't you shed light on the challenges that you have seen people face in your organization? I would like you to give a comparison perhaps with your sort of past experience with your current one.
I think where people are concerned, primary challenges, are to be able to find the right person for the job at hand. But even let's assume that happens through whatever processes organizations follow. Then to keep him engaged, because people have a very short attention span, much shorter attention span today than they did 30 years ago. So it's a new generation. So engagement becomes an issue. And from engagement flows that commitment, that drive that people need to exhibit to achieve the outcomes that differentiate a successful organization from one that is not so successful, that is mediocre. So people really are at the core of it all, and not just as individuals. Third challenge is to find people who share a value system that is in line with the corporate culture of the organization, so that they can then work within teams with people who share their worldview or their value system. So people can be very capable, but can be completely different in terms of their value system or worldview or whatever, in which case one cannot create teams. So it's finding the right people, enthusing them to the point where they do not need to be supervised, because people like to sense of empowerment. And then number 3, making sure that they have enough commonality in terms of core beliefs or value systems to be part of winning teams.
So the word that I'm picking up from this is finding.
Finding and retaining.
Yeah. So as an employer, have you ever thought about replacing the word finding with the developing?
All the time. And we induct people at various levels. So at the very young level, at the graduate recruit level, it's about looking for a particular capability and personality set and then developing people. But when we are required to hire people as lateral entrants at middle management or supervisory levels or at senior management levels, then it's really a question of finding them. But beyond a certain stage, my experience is it's very difficult to develop people. People have already developed, and development takes place within, and so that becomes a challenge.
So, if again I'm picking up something here, which I'm going to term as organizational expectation. So, what is your expectation when you hire employees? What are you looking for? And then, how much gap do you find in actual reality?
I think we need to first recognize that people spend the majority of their time within an organization of some sort or another. So that's the major part of their life. So if we don't have people who enjoy being there, our goal is to help provide people a platform where they can express themselves in a way that is in line and aligned with organizational goals as well. So they gain something out of it as human beings and individuals, and the organization gains as a group of individuals or whatever is there. So aligning those two, the interests, passions, and the drive of the individual with the interests, passions, and drive of the organization, that is the first issue. What was your second question? Second part of your question?
Well, this was about organizational expectation, and then okay. What is it that you act in actual reality that you find? Where's the
I
gap?
think so the expectation is that the organization will bring in people who enjoy being part of that organization's journey rather than simply wait for a paycheck at the end of every month. They need to be involved and they need to participate not just through physical labor but through their emotions, through their intellect and their talent. So the expectation of the organization really is that when people come in, they embrace the opportunity. There is a probation period where people check out the organization checks out an individual. But when an individual is focused only on conforming to retain a job, then that may not come out immediately in the first few months, but ultimately that shows itself because the quality of results is not there, the quality of intellectual input is not there. There is a drive to conformance and not making mistakes. It's an avoidance of mistakes to retain a job rather than driving for results because they enjoy the process, because they want to be part of a team that's driving for results.
So when I hear the word results, what comes to my mind is being driven. And when people are driven, do you think they are going to have at least a happy balance of producing results
No,
vis-a-vis their own happiness, the work-life balance as they call it?
No, the important thing is that is a wrong conclusion, at least in the context of our organization. When we try and attract people and when we become conscious of the fact that they need to express themselves professionally and find pride, then we cease to drive them. Our whole structure is that people should drive themselves and ultimately drive the organization, because each individual contributes, has talents, has abilities, has dreams and ideas. And so we do not believe in driving people. We believe in having a joint vision, certain processes in place, certain roadmaps to develop, which are developed collectively. And then for people to drive themselves and their teams to achieve exceptional results, not necessarily the results that were part of a roadmap or plan, but superior results, because they are on the ground. They are seeing the opportunities, the risks, issues. They have the opportunity to express themselves at the day-to-day, transaction by transaction side. Right? So we don't drive people. We have shared goals, and then the expectation is that they will drive themselves, their teams, and the organization.
So what you're describing right now is an ideal situation, or is it actually happening on ground here?
With some people we succeed in achieving that goal, and then they take ownership. They take to them it's not just a job that pays their rent. Then it is something they like doing, so they take ownership. Their ideas come forth. They develop things, and they drive the company. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen in the majority of the cases, and that's our challenge, to get to the point where the majority of people are driving the company.
So, in that case, if I were to say that you as a leader or a person heading an organization, a region, what key skills do you need to have to enable all this?
This is a tough one. I think finding people, so selection, there is a process, but ultimately somebody takes a decision. Then having the fortitude to support people who have the potential but are not able to produce the results. Then at the same time to have the discipline to reassign, retrain, or remove people who are not delivering within certain time frames. So we cannot, let's say, have somebody who's promising to deliver and he continues to make promises for 3-4 years. We have to have some discipline, maintaining that discipline across the organization alongside the unleashing of talent. So on the one side, there is a discipline factor that if we don't do this, this will happen. And on the other side, we're saying, this is your company, take it forward. Right? Finding a balance between those two, that becomes a challenge. Then the other challenge is to ensure that other senior managers are also buying into the vision. Sometimes the vision is articulated at the top, but it's not implemented on the ground level. So explaining the vision, driving the vision, trying to stay focused on it, there will be deviations, there always are, and then coming back on track all the time. So I think that perseverance to achieve the vision and the fortitude to take short-term losses on people making mistakes, and in the hope that they will develop and then they will deliver.
So the key skills that you're naming are perseverance and fortitude, and
managing people is not entirely a science. In fact, it is less so than other aspects of management. It is an evolving art. It varies from market to market, nationality to nationality. So one needs to have a few anchors, a few frames of reference. People need, so the top person's responsibility is to be consistent with the criteria, selection criteria, then to be consistent with the value system, then to exhibit the value system himself or herself, to the behaviors that go with whatever the company talks about. So that consistency, the consistency with the vision. So if there is a disconnect, then the credibility of the vision goes away. The credibility of top management goes away. So it is to be authentic. Authenticity is a very important element. Even more than pure capability, authenticity for the top becomes important. A fairly high degree of transparency in terms of what the plan is, where the ship is headed, how are we going to get there, what are the hurdles that one should expect. That communication is the responsibility of the top. So all of this reflects on people. The top managers or manager or the leader defines a vision through a collective process and through his own vision of where the organization should be. Then it's a question of others accepting or rejecting it. If they accept it, the process of acceptance has to be based upon people's own experiences, their reading of the market, and then a collective decision is taken. So this, keeping everything on track, this becomes a key attribute.
Okay, so these interviews are going to be short, and we're just getting through our 14th minute. No, this is very valuable. But my last question is related to you as a person as well as a leader. What is that one thing that you have wished for in times of crisis, in times of being alone, that you wish that you would have had? It would have made your job easier.
I think the job at the top is very lonely, and it is not a metaphorical statement. Once you experience it, and you experience it by the fact that the moment you share something, there are negative consequences. So one seeks sometimes counsel, and which is unbiased or detached, or so you're able to stay rooted, or you're able to stay objective. I think that's pretty much it. That's the one thing, to have a sounding board that you can trust, that doesn't have an agenda, because some decisions require a lot of anguish and reflection and have huge consequences.
Anything else you want to add here as a closing note?
Just that Organizations are very, very different, but there are some features that are always very common. Each organization, the universal aspects of an organization. An organization has a purpose or a value proposition. It has people. It has a hierarchy. And it is the hierarchy that has to work through people to deliver the purpose of the organization. Nothing can be done alone. So, yes, it's the common mantra that people are everything. But people are everything, but more importantly, it's the teams. Organizations that are able to build effective teams from within their own internal talent pool, that's the key. To have teams of people who are driven to succeed and who enjoy doing it while they're at it.
Great, excellent. Thank you very much, Hamza. This was really valuable, and I hope this message that we're trying to send across, creating a culture of value, which comes from people actually feeling valued and contributing to each other's lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.